After the Seattle Seahawks allowed DK Metcalf to go out there and seek a trade, it is now being reported by Josina Anderson once again regarding this situation that the asking price, from what she hearing, is a little bit too steep from the Seattle Seahawks to where a team might have to circle back. Then in other news for today's NFL episode, we got the Jags. They made a lot of cuts to open up some money. The Cleveland Browns made some moves to open up some money, along with the Cowboys and the Jags. They open up some money for themselves too. Y'all know we're going to talk about it all and break it down, but you got to hear the music first.
Welcome to your number one spot for all NFL news and content, NFL Central.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back into another episode of NFL Central, your number one spot for everything NFL. I'm Bobby, that's Stevo. If y'all tuned in with us today, make sure y'all hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Stevo, what's the word, man?
Man, what's good, bro? Everybody got released today.
Man, the list of free agents is hitting the market. We setting ourselves up for a busy free agency week next week kicking off, and it's going to be an exciting one. But let's start off with this report from Josina Anderson. She is reporting that she heard that one team called the Seattle Seahawks to inquire about DK Metcalf potentially being moved to their respective team, and pretty much said that the Seattle Seahawks, for DK Metcalf with 1 year left on his current deal, the Seattle Seahawks are looking for a first-round pick and a third-round pick. In the team that inquired about DK viewed that being so ridiculous, they said they might have to circle back around draft to see if the Seattle Seahawks might change their mind. Stevo, first of all, how you feeling about the asking price for DK Metcalf? Because you asking me, I think it's a bit outrageous.
A bit. It's completely outrageous. That's especially when you're seeing the moves that's been made already. We've seen a legitimate top 10 wide receiver get traded for a fifth. What makes you think that you're a borderline top 10 wide receiver and you're about to get a first and a third? Not just a first or a third. They said a first and a third. So they respecting multiple picks back for this dude. And just quite frankly, he just not worth it. Like, I don't get me wrong, he's a great talent. He's the type of size that you want for wide receiver, type of athlete, fast, quick, all that be above. And he's pretty durable for the majority of his game. I don't think he played under 15 games his whole career. But he's just not a top 10 wide receiver. There's a lot to be desired with his route running. There's a lot to be desired with his footwork. There's a lot to be desired for his knowledge on just reading defenses and just improvising and knowing when and where to help his quarterback out in certain situations where he just need to know, okay, let me get to this line or let me break this right off at this time to get that. There's a lot to be desired when it comes to that. So for somebody of that ilk, I just don't think it's worth multiple picks, and especially those important picks. There's a lot of talent you could get out of the first and third round. To give up both for a wide receiver that's not a top 10 certified wide receiver, it's definitely way too much. And I'm pretty sure most teams that hear this conversation, or if it is true, if they get called and that's what they tell them, most teams are going to hang up. And right around draft time, they're going to circle back, and that shit going to be a whole lot lower.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, because as of right now, there's nothing you can tell me to try to convince me that DK Metcalf is worth a first and a third. I would say right now he should be. The Seattle Seahawks should be saying, "Hey, let's try to get a third." Because when we talked about Deebo Samuels, we was like, "Okay, maybe a third or a fourth." He went for a fifth. So when you're looking at that situation with DK Metcalf, I'm looking at it like, bro, you out of your damn mind if you the Seattle Seahawks. Who you think you talking to? Boo Boo the Fool? Ain't no way. Because there's nothing. You mean to tell me that he's on his last year of his current deal?
That too, right?
You know what I'm saying? And so not only do I have to absorb this year's money, but then I got to go out there and potentially pay him top dollar. Y'all done lost y'all rabbit ass mind.
And I'm
And I
about to
ain't
say, with his personality, you got to make sure this is a team he wants to go to to ensure that he's going to have that extension ready for him to sign, and it's going to be worth one of the best wide receiver type monies there is.
for sure. And like we look at like me personally, I look at one of the moves that the Bears made. They traded for an all pro 4-time champion and the damn pro bowler. And they traded him on his last year's deal for a 6th round pick. You think you finna go out here and get a guy, he's talented as shit, way younger than a Joe Tooney. But
Mhm.
at the same time, no, because I'm not finna sit up here and pay this. You want me to give up major capital and major dollars. Yeah, we gonna end that
When
conversation right there.
Especially when we know, like, even though the Seattle team is not as bad as I would say other teams, they can still use that first and third round pick to fix up some shit on that old, especially on that offensive side of the ball and on the defensive side. There's a lot of things they can do to fix this a lot of things. So like I get them asking for 1 and 3, but I'm just saying y'all put yourself in this predicament releasing and asking for trade and all these people. Like at the end of the day, I guess they're switching their mindset into the draft, which they should. But yeah, you might have to go just based on Debo, and we know Debo is already a better wide receiver than him, and he's going for fifth pick. I don't think it's likely that you gonna get a first.
Yeah, you might as well chalk that up to the game. I ain't gonna lie to you. But right now, some names that's being thrown around, Stevo, on the last part before we move on. DK Metcalf, some people have him connected to Denver, Green Bay, and Pittsburgh, which all locations make sense to me. But it always is gonna go back to I'm not giving y'all this much draft capital when every single season, especially the last 5 years, it's been a bunch of wide receivers that come through the draft that can go out there and give me some type of production. May not be a star, you know what I'm saying? Maybe not be able to give me a DK Metcalf season in their year one as a said rookie, but hell, you might have a chance. You never know
Mhm.
because some of these guys that be coming out of college, they be ready to perform right away.
Yeah,
So the answer is no. Y'all is tripping, and we'll maybe give y'all a call back at the draft, or we'll probably see what's up with somebody else that actually wants to make a deal because that asking price, you don't want to make a
it's
deal. You
ridiculous.
trying to find a fool.
Yeah, and I don't think there's so many foolish people out here to make that deal.
for, for sure. All right. In other news, Steve-O, we had some teams that went out there and restructured some of their deals on their respective teams to free up some money for their teams. We're going to talk about the Cleveland Browns restructuring Deshaun Watson's deal that created $36 million. Then you got the Cowboys that restructured the deals of Dak Prescott and a couple other players to free up $56 million. How do you think that'll affect these two teams moving forward?
I mean, it affect them very significantly because on the Cowboys part, like they're in a weird predicament where they have a talent, they have players locked down with contracts, but they got a lot of holes to fill. And with this money, they can use some of that money to fill some of them holes. Probably not all of them, but a nice. I say they could get a nice 3 to 4 players out of this money if they're not high profile. Now, if they go out there seeking a high profile, they might get 1 or 2. But it just depends on how they approach it. But yeah, they should have been trying to do something to get some more money because there's some holes they can fix. They can shore up that O line. They can shore up that defense. Some of that linebackers. They can shore up the running back position. They can shore up a lot of things. So that makes sense on their behalf. Now Denver. Not Denver. Now Cleveland makes 100%. I knew it was gonna come a day where they was gonna start restructuring Deshaun contract at one point. So I knew they was gonna make some stuff happen. But they are the ones where in a they're in that space where they can either retool or rebuild. And I think they're going to try to retool it just a little bit. And then with that money, it makes more sense with the free agency that's out there, even some of the releases that we've seen today, that can really come in handy for them. So the I will say like it's not part of the question, but I will say the money part would probably benefit Cleveland the most compared to Cowboys, and that's just because I don't think the Cowboys gonna use their money correctly.
Yeah.
Not saying Cleveland is a better organization because they don't. Their problem is they don't pick the right people. That's their problem.
Right.
So if they pick the right people and use their money correctly, it could go somewhere. Same with Cowboys, but I'm leaning more for the Cleveland because they more in dire straits right now.
Yeah, I think that when these two teams, you looking at it, you look at Jerry Jones last season talking about we going all in and barely did anything. It was like, bro, did you ever go in or did you just stand pat? And it was more so the latter.
Oh, the
You know what
dirty.
I'm saying? And it was like, yeah, you creating $56 million, but let's not forget you gotta pay Micah Parsons, or
Mm,
you just gonna let him walk, or you just gonna sit there and wait even longer, and then you're gonna have to pay him even more money
yep.
later on. We already know if you want to be a competing team in the NFL, you got to have blue chip players with the Cowboys. So you're gonna have to pay Michael Parsons, or you're gonna try to trade him. What are you gonna do? So the Dallas Cowboys put them in a tough. They put themselves in a tough position as well. And the Cleveland Browns, I'm with you, bro. You ain't have a choice but to try to figure this whole thing, this whole Deshaun Watson thing out, because you gave this man a fully guaranteed contract after spending pretty much a year off of football, and you've been trying to recapture this Houston, Texas Deshaun Watson, and it ain't looking too good. This right here, it was good for the sake of the team, but I also think like they just trying to justify the move for Deshaun Watson at this point, trying to see if they can get a little bit of a return on the move. But essentially, I still think both of these teams will be in hot water and be looking like mid this
And,
upcoming season.
and I don't really to this day, like even though hindsight is 2020, I still don't blame them. Now I do blame them for guaranteeing the money and giving him so much money for the guarantee, but to go get Deshaun after the year he had,
Yeah,
if you were, you can't get mad at that. That was just like how the hell we know he was just gonna have because to be honest, before this injury even happened, the shoulder injuries I think was the one that really messed him up. Because
agree.
we seen that happen with Cam and countless other quarterbacks. You mess up that shoulder that one real good time, it messes up a lot of things. You got to learn how to throw again. Your mechanics is different. Your confidence is different. So yeah, I don't really blame him for going out there, especially with him having that year he did before that. Nobody on this team, line falling apart, and he still pulled up damn near MVP numbers. Yeah, I don't blame Cleveland for swinging. Like sometimes you got to make a swing. They just struck the fuck out.
Yeah, sometimes you got to make a swing, but that, bro, they fucked up with that swing. I
Yeah,
ain't
that
gonna
was
lie to you. It's because
you
it's
put a
the
little too
whole
much
point of.
mustard on that swing.
Yeah, it's just the fact that you put too much in one basket on this entire move. Like, I'm not mad at you spending draft capital and even spending some money, but to fully guarantee it and not give yourself an out in this type of situation, especially with like examples of Le'Veon Bell when he spent time off after his solid season with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then he spent time off and then essentially went on to the Jets, and you seen what that looked like. I know it's two different positions for sure and two different type of players that could provide two different things, but at the same time, bro, you still got to look at the history of some of these players around the league. You can't you don't have to normally fully conform to what was taking place, but you got to have that in the back of your mind, like, bro, this is a real possibility that this might not work. And right now, like I said, it ain't working, and they just trying to justify the whole thing. Is what it looked like to me.
Yeah, them motherfuckers didn't have enough accountants on that team.
On the real, somebody was doing that, bro. Because to your whole point, when you talk about them shoulder injuries, you know these quarterbacks and these NFL players, they are competitors, and a lot of these guys they're gonna rush back too soon. They're gonna try
Mhm.
to do stuff, and you know shoulder injuries are tricky,
Yeah,
especially when you're the quarterback and your shoulder depends on you. Damn near, well, shit, every play.
yeah.
You handing off the ball too and throwing the
Mhm.
ball, especially when you trying to, you know what I'm
Just
saying, go
being
deep.
comfortable. Yeah,
Exactly. You got to be able to, you know what I'm saying, chuck that thing the right way. So they put themselves in this
yep.
position. It is what it is.
'Cause I think of the quarterback at Ohio State, Miller. Braxton, he
Yeah.
messed his shoulder up. He couldn't throw after that. He couldn't throw past 30 yards,
Yeah.
just like that.
Cam too. Cam,
Cam.
he was still, you know what I'm saying, able to give
Now he had a rocket. That
some.
motherfucker
Yeah.
just the accuracy, the little bit of accuracy he did have,
Yeah, it
that
was
shit
shot.
went away.
It was shot. It was shot after that, especially because of how he played and how he was pretty much trying to come back too soon. You gotta let them show this hill up, man. But hey, in other news, Stevo, we got the Jags open themselves up for some money as well. They create $34.6 million to they add on $34.6 million to their salary cap by releasing a number of players. First of all, they traded Christian Kirk to the Texans for a sixth round pick, cut wide receiver Josh Reynolds, cornerback Ronald Darby, and cut tight end Evan Ingram. Boy, what do you think about them Jacksonville Jaguars down there in the AFC South? Because boy,
I mean, out of everything else, this is the moves I didn't question, to be honest,
for sure.
because I'm pretty sure the majority of the whole NFL were, when they made the move for Christian Kirk, was like, really, you gonna spend that much money? Okay.
They gave him back.
And even with Evan, like Evan was having kind of like a resurgence than he did when he first with the Giants, but still it was a fall off. And I think this whole group of wide receivers and tight end, it just ran its course.
Yeah.
They tried to. They've been in multiple situations where they can win. They've seen the playoffs multiple times. It just didn't work. Well, I ain't gonna say multiple times. I think once, especially with Kirk and them. But yeah, it just ran its course. It wasn't really working. It's not like they was. I mean, of course, it was more bang of your buck product. You got you didn't spend a stupid amount, but you brought them in to bring them in, and you just didn't get exactly what you thought you was gonna get. Even last year, I think, when then they pick up the wide receiver from the number 2 from the Bills. He's still on there. Like they kind of questionable when it comes to the wide receiver position, but it is what it is. Like it's time for them. They're kind of in a retool mode. Not kind of, really is in a retool
Yeah.
mode, and they gonna need some money. And I'm pretty sure they gonna use this draft as well. So it made sense to me. All these players are not really needle movers, but they could be somewhere. They could be special somewhere else. And I just don't think that's what the Jags. Would
Yeah, I
They
agree
need
with
a
that.
lesser role.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm with you though. Christian Kirk, I didn't think he was gonna get traded to the Texans. Like that was a little bit of a surprise. And I'm interested to see how it works down there in Houston with the Texans. But they did
Sneaky
go out,
move. That's a sneaky
yeah.
good move from Texas too.
Yeah, they did go out there and sign Liam Cohen, former Buccaneers OC. And
Mm-hmm.
hey, I hope they play better than that weak ass Duval he threw out there at the press conference. That shit was
Duval.
terrible. But I do
Duval.
but I do know he can I do know he can coach up an offense. So the moves absolutely make sense. You see these NFL coaches around the league all the time. When they land in a new destination, they're gonna try to change some things around. And it's not surprising that most of the moves was made on the offensive side of the ball, especially when you consider Sunshine, Trevor Lawrence. Bro ass, he got paid that bag. And can we be real? His career has been
Mid
mid. Trevor Lawrence's career has been mid at best. Now, outside of that one playoff game where he had that good comeback win, it's been
and
it's
the
been
motherfucker.
real shaky.
And it was a nice comeback. The motherfucker still threw what, 4 interceptions that game?
Yeah, to start the game. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It was ugly. So it was still mid. So you got to see if you can this is one of those situations where the team is like, "Hey, we paid you all this money. Now we finna give you an opportunity. Hopefully they do the right thing and surround him with solid players so you can see if he can really flourish."
Yeah.
But if they
He
go out there and get on them players, it's pressure's on him. I think the pressure's on him already.
they I feel like he's because he's so these men, they gotta get some niggas. They gotta bring in some motherfuckers. Like they kind of treated him like they brought, and I don't know what the situation is. Like, of course, a lot of people ain't gonna want to go to Jacksonville. But at the end of the day, if they believe in the quarterback, they gonna go.
Right.
They build a team up for Tom Brady. Tom
Mm,
Brady can make them motherfuckers work. He can't. He needs somebody. I
yeah.
think if they go find him a legitimate X, they can get them through the season into some games here and there. Now winning them is a different question. But yeah, I think they need to go out there and spend some money on an actual person worth that money.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think they got some major moves that they got to make. I think they just need to go ahead and do exactly what you said, retool the roster a little bit, and see if your quarterback can, you know what I'm saying, take a step forward. Because again, the way we started was like, hey, bro, you've been mid. You've been mid. You was projected to be one of those. And you ain't been one of those throughout your NFL career, even though the Jacksonville Jaguars decided to pay you. But I mean, if we keeping it a buck, didn't they really they probably had to pay him because nobody
Yeah.
really want to go to Jacksonville, to your earlier point. So we'll see. It's gonna be interesting though, moving forward. And then Stevo, the last thing on the docket is the Bengals. They allowed star rusher Trey Hendrickson to go out there and seek a trade. We got some earlier rumors that the Bears are interested. Maybe the Commanders might come calling. And man, that's whew, I think it's probably a move that the Bengals have to make to try to save some money if you want to go out there and build out and pay guys like Jamar Chase and pay guys like T. Higgins, especially if you hoping that they can get a long-term deal done. It's a move that you're gonna have to make so you can utilize all that money that you was dishing out to him and give it to those guys on the outsides on the offensive side. But I still gotta look at them a little funny and be like, okay, so what's the plan in the
I
draft?
and
Because you can have all that talent on the offensive side with your wideouts, but we seen the lack of run game that you had. You tried to trade for guys like Khalil Herbert last season. It was okay, not really a needle mover though. And then your defense outside of Trey Hendrickson was still not that good. So what is the actual plan other than trying to pay a quarterback and two wide receivers? What's the real plan there?
I don't think they have one.
Mm,
And that's the thing. Like I think this him like usually is it's like okay, he asked for a trade. No, they granted permission for him to go seek a trade. That means he ain't necessarily looking. They came to him was like, basically, look here, motherfucker, we need some money, and the only way we can get some money is if we trade your ass.
facts.
So, is there any place you would like to go? And once you get and what and when you typically start action having that type of discussion, it's something in the last few years you done fucked up at with your plan, with your thought process, because you shouldn't be, no matter what age he is, when you have somebody like Trey Hendrick, who's been a top lead in sacks for years, in double digits for years, no matter
Yes.
what the age is. And even then, with him on his team, you couldn't find nobody to make that defense even better on top of that, the relationship is strained between your offense because one wide receiver been wanting to get paid and you done tagged them twice. Then you let your all pro running back go to goddamn Texas. It just don't look good. Like it feel like they got lucky with Jamar and Joe, but they don't know what the fuck they doing with them.
Oh
They're
my
not
God.
building around him properly. You kind of had a leg up with the players that was already there when you got Joe. You made it to a Super Bowl. You should have realized why you lost the Super Bowl and you still didn't. Well, you tried to fix it, but you did. You picked the wrong players. Your evaluation was very wrong, and I think that's where it starts. I think that's what it was. Their evaluation of all them linemen that they paid and it didn't work out. That's what fucked them.
Bro, I agree with you 100%, bro. And one of the things you said that stood out the most is like they got lucky with Jamar and they got lucky with Burrow, and they really was just like, all right, we just gonna run it. Like, because last season, when the Kansas City Chiefs won, let's call it what it is, bro. The Bengals literally, if you set yourself up correctly, you could have beat Kansas City in the playoffs. You already did it before.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have a great wide receiving core when
Nope.
the last time they won the championship, when they went and got the second ring. And then this
Mm-hmm.
past season, they didn't have a great wide receiver core either. And they got exposed in the Super Bowl by the Philadelphia Eagles that the offensive line over there ain't that damn good this year.
Nope.
In like so many close games that they had for the Kansas City Chiefs, yes, they was able to execute and win due to the greatness of Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and all those other guys over there. But at one point, you were saying this is Burrow head. We going to win. And it was like you can damn near believe it at least a little bit because they was beating the Chiefs. And you just kind of dropped the ball in that whole situation. And then now, instead of positioning yourself to being closer to another Super Bowl appearance, right now, for me, it looked like the Bengals are further away from a Super Bowl appearance, bro.
Yeah. And that's where it gets spooky because that's when players get disgruntled, and that's when quarterbacks be like, "Look here, motherfucker, this ain't what I signed up for.
Facts.
I've done everything what I've asked me to do. I've sacrificed my body for you. I done tore my ACL and hurt my wrist. I done some other injuries dealing with this shit, and I'm still one of the best. Still, even last year, this motherfucker was putting up career amazing games trying to win, and we all wasn't even winning them. That's gonna get frustrating at the time.
Facts.
I know Burrow can deal with it because if you know his story, he ain't the type that just was winning his whole career, especially in college. Like he's majority of he sat in Ohio State and waited his turn, then left in LSU and took the fuck off. But then ever since then he been balling. So
And
who
it's
knows
even
how he think?
and last point, Stevo, it's even crazier because Joe Burrow is locked up until he's 34 years
Yep.
old in 2030. That's 5 more years, bro. That's 5 more years, bro. Oh
Hey,
my God. Hey, I ain't gonna lie to you. I was gonna ask the question, but the man to be 34. I was gonna ask, do you see another Matthew Stafford type of situation? We trade this guy for a guy
I
that's
think
not working, but
I,
I don't necessarily think it's
I
gonna
think
make sense.
Joe gonna ask for a trade before then.
Oh,
If some shit don't, how old is how old is Burrow right now?
29. He'll be 29 this season.
Yeah, by the time he 31, if this shit ain't looking different, he done. He's asking for that
I'm
trade.
with you because bro should be a champion or at least competing
Or
for another
or
champion.
another Super Bowl appearance at least.
Exactly. Agreed, bro.
He ain't
Agreed.
sniffed. He ain't even sniffed it. Like they ain't even been to no deep playoff run.
And
Nothing since then.
and they constantly all this talent and this good ass quarterback. Y'all steady want to start each season slow. Put yourself behind an 8 ball. Now you got to go off and reel off 10 straight wins just to give yourself a chance. No, it don't work. You're not gonna be successful like that.
And I'm kind of surprised they kept their head coach, but that's a different
Oh
story for a
my
different
God.
day.
For real.
Yeah.
But hey, bro, you got anything left over, man?
Hey, no, y'all know it's gonna be hectic in the next few weeks. So prepare to be seeing our faces. So tell your mama, cousins, and aunties about us. Like, comment, and subscribe.
For sure, man. Well, that is it from us, man. I'm Bobby. That's Stevo. This NFL Central, man. Make sure y'all hit that like button and subscribe before y'all roll up out of here. We appreciate y'all for all the continued support. Make sure y'all continue to tune in to the #1 spot for everything NFL. We out of this piece. See y'all on the next for sure.